I've done about few videos here, and in almost all of them I believe I have vexed at least 90% of people that have watched these videos because I constantly hammer on the subject of learning the art fundamentals. Good day everyone, I'm John Apex. Okay, so real talk, I'm not a master of all the art fundamentals myself. There are probably people who are, but I'm not one of them, and I usually nag about learning the fundamentals, and when I do, I'm usually referring to anatomy, color and perspective most of the time. This is because these fundamentals fit into the areas I'm interested in, which is dealing with characters, which would involve character portraits, design, illustration, and comics. But today, let me be your fake guru and be as hypocritical as I can for however long your attention span actually lasts and talk about other fundamentals, not just anatomy, color, and perspective, but what you should actually focus on to at least create good art. What I'm doing here is basically creating a pathway for systematic growth and improvement in art for my younger self who is interested in, character illustrations, comic and all that jargon, so that he doesn't waste time jumping around learning and studying concepts that don't help him immediately as an artist. Basically a scheme of work for young John and where he would and should start. I also put something for those interested in environment art too. This is just my opinion, which of course could be arrant nonsense, but it could help direct and put you on the right path. But you still have to put in the work either ways. Everyone keeps talking about these fundamentals. It's actually so annoying when you think about it, but what are the art fundamentals? Well, the site I went to told me that the art fundamentals are anatomy, form, perspective, design, lighting, color, and composition. Now, keep all that at the back of your mind, but note this: everything we do in this life as people is done based on our level of understanding about life and its principles. If our understanding of life's principles are limited, we will live a limited, average and subpar life, whether we like it or not. Same thing applies in arts. If your knowledge and understanding of these fundamentals are limited, your art won't be as mature and as amazing as that of artist B, who understand the fundamentals or guidelines more than you, and so can bend or even break them as he sees fit. Thus, every artist creates art based on his level of understanding of these fundamentals, which can always be improved upon to manifest something better. Alright, so I want to improve as an artist, but I need to learn the art fundamentals, right? But the truth is, these fundamentals are actually sound boring, don't they? So the trick here is for you to play to your strengths and interests. Ask yourself, what do I enjoy drawing? So pick the fundamentals that best fits the area you want to go into. So whether you want to be an environment artist, character artist, comic artist, or just an illustrator for film, gaming, or whatever industry, the fundamentals you choose to start with and eventually master will be different from others. This is why it's important to focus on your own growth and journey as an artist. You can't just skip steps. And of course, eventually, in the long run, as you grow as an artist, you become a master in all these fundamentals. And like I said, I'm not even a master in any. I just know enough about each to the point that I can be effective and not be limited when drawing or executing a piece. But the truth is, I'm still limited by my understanding of these concepts, whether I like it or not. So there are certain things that I can't do as an artist. For someone like me who is more interested in character illustration, design and comics, my learning process would be geared towards improving in the fundamentals that are usually most associated with these areas. So what I'll do is that I'll design a table that shows a plan in phases, stages, levels or whatever, something like this, making it as simple as possible, showing me what to tackle at certain points in my learning process and to also show where I am in my learning journey. It can even be more complex than this, to the point where you can break it into days, weeks, months or however long you want the journey to be. I feel like anatomy is kind of overrated and underrated at the same time, but mostly overrated. A lot of people interested in figure drawing, illustration and whatever just fall into despair whenever they hear the words, "You have to learn anatomy," like it's the apocalypse or something. I feel like structure and proportion is kind of how artists, especially beginners like young John, can ease themselves into anatomy where studying it doesn't feel like that boring math homework I did every day back in school. Structure is the basis of any good drawing, and I feel like it's better to focus on that than knowing every single muscle and bone in the human body. We're not doctors, we're artists. So when I talk about learning structure and proportion, for instance, it is simply breaking down complex figures using simple shapes like cubes, cylinders, and circles. You start with these because it's easier on our overthinking minds that may not be able to process complex forms and draw them accurately or to our liking. This phase trains our minds to not just see things as a whole that they are, but a combination of parts that make up a whole. So you do exercises where you gather a lot of references, which includes different objects, figures, poses, animals, illustrations, and studies that you find fun and interesting, and then you break all these materials down by drawing simple shapes that you understand over these references, and then drawing that breakdown differently from where you drew the breakdown initially, with the original reference turned off, and then finally looking over at the original to make your adjustments. This forces you to think three-dimensionally whenever you pick up a pen to work, and you can do this in parts too, no need to rush. So for instance, if I'm having issues drawing the human hands or legs or whatever part of the body I'm having problems with, I can dedicate a day or two or more of focused study on that part with references. So drawing from real life or pictures of people in real life, drawing studies and how other top artists break down their studies can be a way to help you navigate structure and proportion. Everyone learns at their own pace, so don't cheat yourself by trying to breeze through this thing in a day or two. Take your time. So once we're done with phase 1 and we can comfortably draw figures and stuff, we move in to understand how to add value or form to our subject. And this is important because it adds depth and contrast to your image, thereby giving it a realistic or 3D look. And you do that by learning to hatch, shade, and render. By learning values, you are able to create areas of highlights and shadows that attract your audience to your piece. To understand value, it is usually preferable to practice with just black and white references, because colors are complex and may mislead your eyes, especially if you are a beginner learning about the form of an object. At this phase, you already know how to draw and shade something compelling to any viewer. The next thing is to move to colors or color theory, where you dive into color harmonies, which enables you to study how to combine colors together in a visually pleasing way that gives a feel to your painting or drawing. Lighting is basically how colors interact with one another and operate in different environments. The best way to improve on your understanding of light and color is to do studies, and you have to start really simple and small. Start with simple objects, a fruit on a plate, an egg, a pot, a cup, and eventually you can add more objects and then do more. Like, you could repaint some of your favorite artist paintings and then get references from photos. You could, if you're traveling or just walking around your house, you see how interesting something looks, you can snap it and study it later. Honestly, I rarely do this, and that's probably why I haven't improved so much as an artist. But it's something I would recommend everyone to do, basically. Now, getting the perspective infinity stone is a beast, because this can really mess with your brain. It's kind of friendly at first, but it gets really perplexing when you go deep. Quite difficult to master, if I'm being honest. Once you add perspective to your works, it makes it dynamic and more interesting. Your goal at this phase is to learn how to apply the different types and principles of perspective to your illustrations. And like everything we're learning, we start small, from 1-point perspective to 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective. You don't need to learn everything about perspective to create something with a wow effect. And I know I said that eventually, as you grow as an artist, you get to master all these fundamentals. Well, not every time, because sometimes being skilled in the basics of a fundamental is more than enough for whatever you're doing. And as you draw more and more, they become a part of you. You know how professional athletes, for example footballers, have ratings and their ratings are not usually equal? They are footballers. In this case, we're looking at it from an artist's point of view. They are footballers, but we have the defenders, midfielders, strikers, wingers and all that. Each of them have a set of specific skill that they have to be exceptional at for them to be able to play effectively at their positions. Same thing with you as an artist and what I was talking about before, about picking what you want to play as in this field of art, so you can know the fundamentals to start with and really improve on. Just for fun, my own rating as an artist would look something like this. You can tell us what your ratings would be in the comment section and why. By the end of phase 4, you're already an elite artist, but you can go further and dive deeper into your anatomy just to smoothen the rough edges in your skill. You can go crazy with learning the skeleton and how it affects and shapes the muscles during posture. Simplified anatomy, muscles as a group, and even individual muscles. You can learn the structure of a spleen at this point if you want. The cool thing here is that it would be much more easier and seamless. Phase 6. This is the level where you're basically an art god and you're seeing things in the 4th dimension. We are talking Kim Jong-gi's level. You can learn and master other fundamentals here, and the moon is basically your starting point. You can check out books, courses and more to always give you guidance, and you'll be good. Honestly, you will. For the beloved people with balls of adamantium that are interested in environment, your table would look something like this, with phase 4 and phase 3 being interchangeable because either way it works. Anatomy wouldn't really be something you would focus on, but if you're interested, you can still learn it. There are a lot of environment artists that are monsters at anatomy and character art. All these fundamentals and processes I've been rambling on about won't do you any good if you're not practicing and putting in the work. I'm talking to myself as well because I honestly need the practice. And like I said, this is how I would approach my own learning process if I was to start from scratch. I mixed Angel Ganev and Muhammad Abadi's theory and then came up with the best table that works for me. And now you can do the same for yourself. Okay, so if you made it to the end of this boring video, thank you. You can check out other videos, highly recommended if you are looking for, more boredom. What are you recommending for us though, John? What are you recommending? I'm recommending to help you as an artist and so that you can grow. Honestly, I'm doing it to give myself views. What do you think? I need to get my people out of the hood. Anyways, thank you for watching this video and see you next time. Peace.